Well, hello, and welcome once again to A Goodman's Tale. My name is Josh, and I'm going to be your host today. Here at A Goodman's Tale, we talk about the nitty, the gritty, the up, the down, the good, the bad, the ugly, life's greatest victories, and most difficult times. Friends, it is indeed all about the journey. And what we do here is just share what our journeys look like, what it's talk like, walk like, to hopefully give one another a little bit of strength, courage, and maybe even a little wisdom. That being said, if you enjoy an episode, we ask that you like, share, and subscribe. All right, let's get it. All right, so in the studio today, we have Miss Rebecca House once again. Appreciate you coming out and being a part. And goodness sake, got a lot we're going to begin to discuss today. If you remember, Rebecca actually came and was a part of the show a few months ago, shared with us some of the hardships that she has faced, specifically in regards to having lost a child. And today we're going to delve into, because not only has she undergone, had to go through that, but also recently has given birth to a preemie. And so I want to get into and discuss the difficulties and hardships, that come along with that. But before we do, let's jump into our normal icebreaker questions. So Rebecca, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live?
Okay, so not getting into like the politics and everything, because I don't know. You're just talking views, like anywhere in Europe.
Anywhere in Europe. Anywhere. Gotcha.
Let's go Scotland, Ireland, England.
Just
give me a place with castle and ruins, and I'm good. Meadows.
No. And you'd want to live there.
Yeah. Because I'm an artist and I like to write. So I just picture like this cute little cottage house and my kids just roaming in the hills. Yeah, just roaming around in the hills with our dogs and just like
it's the sound
looking
of
out
music or something.
Yes, and just looking out, and I see ruins and just being able to paint all day. And I don't work obviously in this dream,
right.
But somehow I afford all of this.
So if you could visit anywhere in the world, would it be Europe?
It would also be Europe. I've always had a dream.
So Europe is big and vast. Are we talking Spain, England,
more
Italy?
so like the United Kingdom? We're
UK,
talking
Scotland, Ireland, those kind of places. Because Germany's got a lot of great castles, and Spain actually has some of the oldest architecture in the world, because they never got, they were always neutral during any of the wars.
See, where I'm getting a little technical with it, I'd be too nervous to go to Germany and Spain, because maybe this is me being lazy, but like I'd have to learn a whole other language, because I'd just be like, what?
Yeah, but don't tell our listeners the food in England.
Oh yeah, I know.
Not exactly
it's not that great.
Fish and chips, but you'd have to eat fish and chips like every day. And so, where would you look at and say, no, I would never want to live there?
Live?
Yeah. No place just pops to mind?
No place just probably like Alaska. Like I could never live anywhere super, super north, because I can deal with the cold, but I can only deal with so much of it.
Well, and the difficulty. So I'd love to visit Alaska. That's probably one of my top places I'd love to visit. I'd love to fish, love to hunt there, all of those things. But the challenges of living in a place that is cold and then dark for months.
So much.
I would. No. Yeah, I would. Depression would overcome me. I could not live there or Seattle.
Just seasonal depression, but all year long,
all the time. So if I could live anywhere, I've been to some great places. I loved the city of San Diego. I loved being in Tanzania and South Africa. Goodness, if I could, the Dominican Republic, amazing. Wow, goodness, can I have a few different houses around? I don't know.
My summer house, my winter house.
I don't know that it would be anywhere in Europe, and that's because there's not very many beaches.
That's true. Sacrificing a lot.
Yeah, that would be tough. I am leaning, honestly, as much. I've lived there. We've lived there. but it'd probably be back in the Dominican Republic. There's just the food, the culture, the ocean, the waves, so many just good points. If I could visit anywhere, keeping in mind that I've visited a lot of places, I mean, absolutely wouldn't want to live there, but Alaska, I'd love to visit like Iceland also.
Right?
Yeah, me and Tony, I talked to him about it. I want to visit there so much because it's an entire country that is vast and huge, but only has the population of Fayetteville. There's only like 200,000 people. So you want to talk about a place?
Definitely just live on your own.
Yeah,
you never have to see people again.
You could go days and days without seeing anybody. No. I'd probably begin talking to myself a lot if I did that.
Oh, yeah. I could vacation there. I don't think I could live because I'd go a little crazy. Go a little crazy. Be like, start talking to sheep.
Yeah, right. And then if I had to choose where... Alaskan winter, right? Yeah, there you go. That's where the absolute positively I would not want to visit. Goodness, I mean, a place probably in the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, don't really have an inkling to want to visit there. Too much desert.
I need like 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And in North Carolina, we kind of get 2.
Yeah.
But I need somewhere that I get snow, but I also get decent summers.
Yeah, I gotta have it.
Doesn't have to be 100-degree weather, but like something where I can, get the shorts out.
Those are probably my 2 kind of, of all the places, anywhere probably in the Middle East is
too sandy.
Too sandy. Love the food, but it wouldn't want to. Yeah, just wouldn't want to live there. So, your brother just celebrated his 29th birthday.
Let's not talk about it.
Yep. And we're gonna get into talking about Emma, but started thinking today about you guys and being raised a little bit on the mission field and some of the stuff there. Tell us, before we jump into your more current history, tell us about your ancient history. Tell us, tell us about your childhood and all that kind of stuff.
Growing up a pastor's kid was both fun and kind of horrible at the same time. It was fun because mission trips, traveling all over the place. Especially when it was like just me and Tony and baby Serena, when we were actually able to go on the mission trips. It was fun. And then on the flip side of that, you had all these expectations, even as a kid, which was, it was tough because it felt like everybody's eyes were always on you. Yeah. And you mess up and everybody knows about it. I remember one time I got in trouble when I was a kid and I came into the office the next day and one of the office workers was like, "So I heard about what you did last night." I'm like, what? It hasn't even been 24 hours. How do you already know about this? And so it just everybody knowing your business. It was
all the time. Yeah.
All the time.
No.
But
especially as a kid, when they think you don't have any right to privacy.
Oh yeah. Everybody knows everything.
Obviously, I raised a PK2 and an MK, and everybody feeling like they have the right
to parent you.
Yeah, and to know all your business.
Yeah.
There is no sense of privacy whatsoever.
No privacy whatsoever. Yeah. Like I said, all eyes on you.
And people feel like they have the right to know everything about you.
Everything.
It's
everything.
It is a little bit intrusive.
Just life on blast 24/7.
All the time.
It's like, oh, you think you can have secrets? Psych.
Yeah. If you could pick out maybe one favorite or 2 favorite childhood memories.
I was actually just thinking about this the other day, right? So since we're kind of talking a little bit about Tony and like Haiti and the Dominican Republic, my favorite childhood memories are from Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Not mentioning the time I punctured my knee or anything like that, but favorite memories
on a rusty nail in Haiti. Worst place in the world.
COVID ain't got nothing. Okay.
Right.
No, but I was actually thinking about this the other day. Some of my favorite memories and the things that I think of like the clearest when I think of this is living in, it was Haiti because we were up on the mountain. And I remember one time my mom had brought us inside and she specifically to me goes, "You need to stay inside because your dad is preparing dinner and he's like preparing the duck right now. So you need to stay inside. I don't want you to see anything."
I remember now.
And I was like, sure. And then snuck out the back and looked around the corner and watched as my dad chopped off this duck's head and just chucked it into the woods. And instead of being like, that's gross, I went inside and coerced my older brother into, hey, let's go into the woods and find this duck head. We never found it.
But you looked.
But we looked. And that was just always me, I was the one kind of getting Tony to do things that he didn't want to. He was like, I don't want to go find a duck head. No, dude, we need to go find this duck head.
It's funny, too, because he always looked to you. Like, he'd be like, Becca, make this phone call for me. Go, Becca, can you do this?
I was the tough one.
Yeah, you were the one who was kind of out there,
Even like when we were in high school or whatever, I remember when we were living in Foxbury, this one time he called me into his room and he was like, hey, so I don't know if he was like ordering something from Best Buy or what he was doing, but he was like, hey, can you make this phone call for me and like check up on this order? And I was like, you are 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
Hi. Like, no, I don't want to make this phone call for you. Suck it up.
And if you had to identify, not necessarily a worst memory, but a more challenging childhood memory.
Probably, I don't want to put anybody on blast with this, but being
you don't have to mention names.
Well, so growing up in a Christian household, especially at the time that we were growing up, we were talking about this the other day when you and Mom were against like Harry Potter, and it was all very just like rah. Yeah. That's how me and Tony grew up, and then Mari and Zion are growing up in a more lenient household, in a household where they're not the guinea pigs. You guys aren't learning anymore. You guys got this down pat. And so when I was younger, I kind of had a battle with depression and everything. And because I was the guinea pig, because it was my parents' first time dealing with this, it was something that everybody was like, we don't know what to do. Yeah. And so it was really difficult. And it isn't until now that I'm starting to actually deal with those things. Yeah. Because it's now that I'm like, oh, this is okay because of everything that's happened in the past few years with our family. Sure. But that,
and oftentimes, so it is only since we lost Alex in 2018 that it's only since then that I have embraced the gift of grief.
Oh, yeah.
And battled things like depression and anxiety and literally had, types of PTSD.
Yeah.
Couldn't drive by his neighborhood, because I was once again brought back to the day when we found him.
Well, and being able to pinpoint those things, because, like, again, growing up, if I had problems or was sad for no reason, the answer was always pray about it.
Yeah, pray.
It's a demon. Pray about it. And it was like, okay, that's not really working, but okay. Yeah. And so being able to even pinpoint and be like, it's depression and that's anxiety and that's I'm having a panic attack right now. That's and not just
and like I've been preaching about, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And say, hey, you know what? Okay, this is I do battle these things.
Yes. And that's something again as a PK that it's like you always got to be okay. You always got to put on that happy face. You can't wear your heart on your sleeve. Yep. You got to really just suck it up and move on. Yep. And so,
and
coming out of that mindset.
If you're not okay, pretend like you're okay.
Yeah, pretend. You better put on that smile.
And like I said, it wasn't until 2018 where I actually began to went to counseling after Alex and began to, like I said, embrace the gift of grief. Allow myself to grieve. Really, cry and mourn and realize that these things aren't bad. They're gifts from God. They that grief and that mourning helps unburden our soul.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was like, no,
Yep.
There is no grief. There is no. Reality is until Jesus comes back, there's going to be grief. So let's jump in. Let's begin to discuss a little bit more recent history. Tell us the story surrounding baby Emma.
Okay, so Emma was a surprise baby, which those don't really exist, but she was unexpected, I'll say. And to be quite frank, I wasn't super stoked about it. Like the day I found out, because I've always been able to kind of detect my pregnancies pretty early. Like Macy's, I I was like maybe 2 weeks pregnant and was like, something's weird. And took a pregnancy test and I was pregnant. Super faint line.
Yep.
But I was pregnant.
Yep.
Same with Wade and same with Emma, where I got up one morning and I was like, something's weird.
Something's growing on the inside.
I know something's going on. I know I still got 2 days until, my time and everything, but something's a little off. And so I went and got a test, and it came up so quick too. Yeah. It was just an immediate 2 lines, and I was like seeing those double 2 lines though, and it was just like, it wasn't happiness. It was, oh no!
Again?
Why? I'm not ready. I had all these plans. I wanted Wade to be potty trained before I had another kid. I wanted things to be a little bit better in my marriage. I wanted to be in a specific place before I had another kid.
Babies don't wait like that.
No, they don't.
Yeah, no.
They don't. So I remember I called my husband and I was just like, you need to come home. And
now, when did you find out you were pregnant? I mean, what, June, July?
It was... yeah, probably about then. Well, it was about summertime.
Yeah, June,
well, it was... No, actually, I can do this math a little bit more exact.
July, August, September, October, November.
July. It was like May, because her due date was actually originally Owen's due date.
Yeah.
So we were literally on the same exact timeline that we were with him, which was just already put an emotional spin on the whole thing.
Right? Yeah.
Not just not wanting to be in that place, but also just it was his due date.
Yeah.
And
which
that's
was
just
February
28th.
28th, yeah.
At very end of the month. So that made it super difficult, not wanting to. And then I have really difficult pregnancies. And I knew pretty much from the start that it was going to be a girl because Macy was my most difficult pregnancy. And then Wade's was kind of easy until the end when he just wanted to be a butt.
Yeah.
And then Emma's was super difficult where I was just sick the entire time. No amount of medication, no crackers, no juice, nothing helped.
So many trips to the ER.
So many trips to the ER because thankfully we learned from Macy and Wade's pregnancies, but I get dehydrated real quick. Yeah. And then I end up like passing out and it's bad. And so I'm sure those doctors got real tired of seeing me, but I wasn't going to take any chances. Yeah. They were like, oh, you're
once
back again.
Week, once every 2 weeks, it's like, I'm back.
Pretty much. Here's my monthly trip to the ER. Yeah. It says right here, you were here just 4 weeks ago. Yeah, well, she's not letting me go.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
Back.
And then it was probably October, I want to say. October, things started getting even harder. Where just like I was on heavy duty nausea medication and it just was
serious bed rest.
Well, I hadn't got on the bed rest yet. We were like end of October. I had been going to my doctors and I was like, look, like this, I'm puking up everything. They were like, okay, well, just try to take it easy. If you have a hard labor job, which I don't, just like chill. I was like, okay. Beginning of October comes, still just puking and everything. Go to the hospital. They give me all the fluids, send me home. And then about a day later, started bleeding.
Yeah.
And I have Rh negative blood, which means if I start bleeding, my body will begin to reject the baby if the baby doesn't also have Rh negative blood.
Yeah, Rh negative.
And so I have to get like a shot and I have to be super aware, all this stuff. So went into the hospital and it was like heavy duty bleeding. Woke up in the middle of the night just like gushing blood. And I was like, ooh. So husband takes me to the hospital and they're like, yeah, okay, so we're gonna, give you a once over. Weren't you just here a couple days ago? Did they like check everything? And I was like, yeah, they checked. I think at that point I was actually like a centimeter dilated. They were like, did they check like your placenta or anything? And I was like, they did, but they didn't tell me anything. Yeah. They just did the scan and left. And they were like, okay, I want to see, we're going to do another scan. And then I want to see the scan from last time. Find out I got placenta previa. And so that's like something had torn and that's what was bleeding. And it was just this whole mess. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to have to put you on like magnesium and give you a bunch of shots so that if you do go into labor right now, your baby's going to survive. Yeah. And at this point, I was like 20, I think when I went in, I was like 22, 23 weeks. Yeah. So I was like a little over halfway.
Yeah.
And go in, get put on magnesium, and that junk is intense.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes you feel like you got fever, the flu, in like 2 seconds, and I had to be on it for like 24 hours, and then taken off and then put on it back again. But go in, bleeding kind of subsides and then comes back, and then it goes away and then comes back. They put me on bed rest where I can get up and go to the bathroom, and then they put me on strict bed rest.
Yeah, not allowed to even get out of bed.
Not even allowed to get out of bed. Mind you, this is COVID times too, okay? So the only person allowed into my hospital room was my husband for majority of the time, because I was in labor and delivery. And then they would bring me over to like postpartum, and I was allowed to have some visitors, but like I couldn't see my babies.
Yeah.
I could
nobody under 10.
Nobody under 10. For like a month, the only way that I got to see my kids was through FaceTime or like pictures people would send me. And that sucks.
Yeah.
And then I want to say like November 20th, get out of the hospital, because they're like, okay, it's been 7 days.
Yeah.
You haven't had any fresh bleeding. But here's the deal. If you start bleeding again, you're coming in and you're staying in until this baby's born. And I'm like 24 weeks at this point. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, no, I'll be fine. Go home. And I think it was like a Sunday. Go home, get to see my kids for like a couple hours. I think I actually got to sleep there. Mm-hmm. Get up in the morning, and me and Dad are watching, was it Wheel of Time?
Yeah.
Is that the new show? Yeah, sitting there watching it, and I'm like, something don't feel right. Go up to the bathroom, gushing blood again. And mind you, wasn't doing anything. Yeah. I was sitting there. On TV, sitting watching TV, sipping water. So I burst into tears. It sucks because I don't want to have to leave my kids again. Had only barely gotten to see them for 24 hours. Just left the hospital. Finally had some good food. Like it stunk, and then had to go straight back in, and was there until Emma was born on the 26th, which is actually my birthday. And that whole thing was just.
So how early was she?
She was like 3 months early.
3 months, wow.
Yeah, because she was born November 26th. She was due February 24th.
Wow. What about, switching gears, that's your story. What about the stresses of, if we're talking to a young mom out there who maybe just had a preemie, what kind of stresses does having a preemie put on you? Go from birth and move forward.
All right, so birth... having a preemie it's terrifying because they're so tiny, and I was used to big babies. I have like Wade was 9 pounds exactly. I have decent sized babies, and she was like she fit right here so easily. Like I could.
She was the size of your hand.
She was fine. She was and so just seeing her, and then not getting to visit her for like a good 12 hours or so, because I couldn't get up because I had a C-section, and so I had like the epidural or the spinal tap, like I couldn't move. I had all this stuff hooked up to me. I had to rely on my husband to go visit her. I wasn't able to see her, and then getting to go see her for the first time, not gonna lie, was the worst, because mind you, I was super racked with all the hormones, just kind of crashing down.
And she's so little.
And then she's so little, and she's in this little, like, plastic coffin-looking thing, and she's hooked up to all these machines, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I don't want to stay in here anymore. So my husband was like, are you good? No, let's go back to the room. I'm good. I saw her for 2 seconds. Yeah. Let's go back. And then the first time I got to hold her was super horrible, too, because preemies can you have this thing called, pretty sure it's just called apnea, but it's where their heart dips, their heart rate dips, or their oxygen level dips, because they're still learning how to regulate all that, and they're learning how to do it on the outside way earlier than they should be. Like normally everything's kind of, they're good.
Yeah, put together when they
yeah, but she's having to like teach herself how to regulate her heart and her breathing and everything on the outside. And so the first time I got to hold her, we went up to the hospital and got to put her right up on my chest. And just as we're handing her back, she has a dip and the machine starts blaring. And it only lasted probably 2 seconds.
But it feels like it lasted for 2 hours.
But it felt like it lasted for 2 hours. And I remember sitting there just being like, God, it's me. don't do this to me again,
right.
okay? No. And it finally coming back up and just like sitting there, and I don't like crying in front of people, and I think the nurse could see that I was about to cry, so she's like, it's okay. Like,
yeah.
Take her and please let me leave, because I don't want to cry in front of you. And then not even mentioning the leaving without your baby.
Yeah, having to leave the hospital without your baby.
Yep. Me and my husband got into the car, and the hospital's right on this intersection. And so even before we get to that intersection to Papa Yui and go home, I'm bawling.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it felt almost like losing my baby again. Like, I knew she was fine. She was in the hospital. She's being taken care of. But that feeling of leaving the hospital with nothing gave me flashbacks.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me just check her camera real quick. Okay, she's good. She's good. I can see her right now. She's fine.
Yeah. And what about, from then until now, we've actually passed her
due date.
Her due date, you know. So she's supposed to be with us now. What are some stresses that were that in the home with having a preemie?
Oh, well, I might get hate for this, but I co-sleep with my babies. I co-slept with Macy. I co-slept with Wade. I always had them like right in the wing of my arm all throughout the night, and they were always fine. And I always argue with people, because the people that tell me I shouldn't do that. But my daughter Macy, when she was born, she would do this weird thing where it was Wade. Wade, when he was born, he's got a real bad gag reflex, and like the first night he's laying in our bed in the hospital room, or laying in his little bed in the hospital room, and just starts gagging and choking and struggling to breathe. And so from then on, I was like, nope, you're going to lay right here, so that if you start having trouble during the night, I'm right here, and I'll wake up and you'll be fine. And so with Emma, I was like, I want to co-sleep with her, but I don't, because she's so tiny.
She's so little.
I could roll over on her.
Yeah.
I didn't have that worry with Macy and
when you got those
when they're like bricks.
Yeah.
And so we had her in like a little bed in our bed, so it had like walls, so neither of us could accidentally roll over on her. But that was a hardship, and just having her home from the hospital was really great, because she was home, but at the same time, there were no machines, so there was no indicators if her heart rate dipped or if her oxygen went lower. Yeah. And we had one of those little like safety socks, but it was too big, and so we were really like, her feet were so tiny, and it like there was no way that we could like finesse it to get it on, and so it was like, ooh, we're really hanging on to faith right now. Like, this is up to you, dude. And then just having two toddlers who are old enough to kind of understand babies, but also just in that level where they're way too confident with babies is terrifying, because Macy thinks, I can just pick her up. She's light.
I can carry her wherever.
There's a little bit more to it. You gotta
hold her head. Yeah. Don't touch her soft. All the stuff.
I woke up this morning and she was like tapping her. I was like, can you not?
Yeah.
Please
don't do that.
Just leave her alone. I know you love her. And then eating, there were like, we started her with breast milk, but we also had to like supplement with formula, because breast milk wasn't fattening enough for her. So she had to get formula 2 times a day, and we had to make sure she got these iron droplets in her milk. And there were like 1 million doctor's appointments. Like her first week, she had to go to the eye doctor. She had to go to the pediatrician. She had to get her RSV shots. She's got physical therapy that she starts in a few months. A lot of appointments.
A lot of more stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's a lot of stuff with a baby that goes to term, but just a lot of stuff.
Double that with preemies.
With preemies.
Double that with preemies.
Wow. But I will say this, if you're out there and you're watching and you've had a preemie, or perhaps you're coming to the end of your term and about to have a baby, know this, that it is all worth it. You know, for me, being able to hold baby Emma, being able to feed her and burp her and change her, all of those things, you will make it through this. It's going to be challenging, but it's still just such a gift. So thank you, Boo, for coming on and sharing. I feel like the stories we tell here, really make an impact on people out there. If I stop and I consider, and I'll close with this, but if you had this going in, if you could have looked at an episode like this,
oh yeah,
to just know, I've been. That's what I'm feeling.
That's how it feels.
Yeah, and that I think it would have just been a tremendous asset for you.
Oh yeah.
So, anyway, thank you for joining us once again here at A Goodman's Tale, and as always, remember, go out there and live with all you've got.